country is this?
Okay, so shall we start the next part?
Sure.
Okay, so today I'll just give you overview, right? What is function overloading, how we are using classes, right? So I just kept everything in this Excel sheet, sorry, this notepad, right? So everything will
Okay.
go in detail one by one, right? And we go proceed further. So just
Okay.
yeah, today I'm just give you overview, right? How exactly we are going to do and what we are going to do in C++, right?
Okay.
So, as we discussed in OOPS, we have three properties mainly: encapsulation, inheritance, and
Yeah,
third one is
there is.
polymorphism, right? Correct. So, when we're talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
inheritance, is actually extending classes, right? And publicly, privately, private, or we have the third operator, nothing but public, private, and protected, right?
Perfect.
Three we have, right? So these we call as access specifiers, right? So they are just giving
Okay.
us access.
Yes,
If we are saying
so,
private, right? So that is private to class, right? So we cannot directly access them. Similarly, if we are saying protected, right? So protected is indirectly also mean private, but when we are inheriting, right? So there some properties might get
then we
changed.
can.
Yeah, right. Then we are saying
Okay.
public, everything is public. You can access it directly from main function. Correct. So everything is public. Just like you're going to
Okay,
bank,
correct.
as I give you example. So directly you have admin persons, which you can interact directly as public person. Now, if you want to go inside locker, that is private section, then you need to take help of admin person.
Okay.
So as I said, encapsulation, this is a property in which we are binding the data as well as function within a class.
Function. Good.
Correct? This is we call a data
Correct.
binding property also, encapsulation. So data is secured within our class. Correct? This is
Yes.
the concept of classes, right? So everything by default in classes are private, but wherein when we are going
Okay.
to structures, so everything is public by default.
Okay.
Correct?
Yeah, yeah. Correct.
Right. So when we are saying polymorphism, right? So polymorphism, when I'm talking about polymorphism, so polymorphism. I'm just breaking this word, right? So poly means many,
Mainly.
and
So can
morphism
you
means
please
yeah.
can you
Please
share
tell me.
your screen?
Oh, sorry, I forgot.
It's okay, no problem.
Let me know once visible.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's visible now.
Yeah. So poly means many, and morphism means forms, right? So for same function, we may have different forms, right? So this is based on this function overloading. I mean, function overloading is an example of polymorphism, right? So I will give you the example. I think we have
Okay.
already discussed this thing, right? So here when I'm saying absolute, this is the function ABS, ABS, ABS. Now if you check the parameters, right? So this is of type integer,
Parameters.
this is of type double, this is of type long, correct? So when we are passing parameters, these are of different type. Right? So when we are doing function overloading, we should check first the function name should be same. And second thing is, what are the parameters which we are passing? They should have the same data type or number of arguments we are checking.
Okay.
Correct. So if you check here, this is
Okay.
integer, this is double, this is long. But as you can see, we are returning also integer, double, and long. But this will
Along.
not impact anything because we are returning this value, right? So the only thing which will
Correct.
impact is parameters. Parameters or number, parameter type or number of parameters. Number of
Number of
parameters I have already
parameters.
shown you in last class, right? How it will variate and how it will impact,
Correct. Yeah.
right? So returning type will not
Mm.
impact anything because returning what we are trying to do is,
Okay.
see, if you are going to this function, right? ABS minus 10, correct? So whatever it returns, it will print C out, correct? It may be integer, it may be double, it may be long,
Ah,
right?
correct.
Correct.
Okay.
So if I'm saying ABS
Ah,
of minus 10, right? So what it will do, it will check the value. This is the integer value, minus 1, minus 10, correct? So what it will do, it will call this one, integer I, and will print the value as C out. So whatever value we are
okay.
returning, it will not impact anything. So when we are saying function overloading, so the function name should be same, and the data type should be different, or the number of parameters should be different. If returning type is
Different.
different, doesn't matter. If I use here,
Okay.
instead of double D, if I use here integer I, then it will give me error.
Mm. Okay.
Because see, minus 10 same in both
Understood.
cases, but returning parameter is
Mm.
different. So it doesn't matter what is the returning type.
Okay.
I'm just mainly
Okay.
considering about this function name and the parameter what we are
The
passing.
same parameter.
Yeah, it
Okay.
should be same or number of parameters must be different.
Okay.
Got the concept?
Yeah, got it.
Right. So if you are passing minus 11.0, so that is nothing but a double value you can say. right? So what it will do, it
Double
will,
well.
yeah. So it will go directly double value. And when you're saying minus and 9L, right? So L is nothing but a long integer, so it will give the long value, right? So it will go inside this one to print the value.
Okay.
Correct? You got the concept?
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
So here
Okay.
I am just implementing this thing, double ABS double D. So using double, this is printing and say giving the value. When return D is less than 0.0, so it will return minus D value. Minus D is nothing. When we are saying minus 11.0, it will return 11. Otherwise, D is
Well.
greater than 0, simply it will return 11 value.
Okay.
That's very simple example I am giving you. So what you can do in assignment today is just create this, just copy this one test program and just try to
Okay.
change these values. It will impact or not, right? Returning data
Okay.
type. As well as what you
Okay.
can do is just change the number of parameters also that I explained in last
Okay.
class, right? Yeah. So this we call as function overloading. So this is a part of polymorphism, you can say. The function
Okay.
overloading, you can say, is actually a polymorphism type,
Polymorphism. Okay.
right? So now similarly we have another example. So what I am trying to do here is, so these three classes I'm taking iostream.h, input output stream.h, then this one cstr.h, then cstring.h, right? This is not required, right? As I told you in this editor, fine.
Mm.
The string editor, what I'm trying to do is here, if you can see, number of parameters are same, but data type is different for second parameter, correct?
Okay.
Function name is
Correct.
same, stredd, correct? Returning type is also same. It will doesn't
Mm.
matter, right? If I return an integer or something, right? But if first
Okay.
thing you should check is the number of parameters. It should be same, so number of parameters also same. Now check the data type. First one data type also same, character star and character star, correct?
Mm.
Now second data type
That's
is
correct.
different, character star s2 and integer
Mm.
I. So function overloading is
Okay.
possible,
Okay.
correct? Right. So
Mm.
what I'm trying to do is, so I'm going inside main function, I'm creating one string integer, sorry, character string,
Okay.
right? So str80 I have created. Now what I'm trying to do is, I'm just copying hello word to this string. So now,
Yes.
yeah, str will contain, str will be
Hello.
equals to hello,
Mm.
correct? Now,
Mm.
what I'm trying to do is, now I'm saying string add, then str there, right? So this function I'm
Mm.
calling, in which I'm passing this str and I'm passing there. Now what this function will do,
They.
I need to define the definition, right? So if you go down
Mm.
in this portion, one second, let me just, yeah, if you go down, right? So here I have defined what I'm trying to
Mm.
do in strdr. So what it's trying to do is getting with both parameters, the character star s1 and s2, right? So both here
Mm.
I'm passing a string. So this is also a string, this is also a string. So what it will do, it will call
String.
this one,
Okay.
right? Because both parameters are
Okay.
string here, character star, right? So,
Mm. Okay.
right. So inside this, what it's doing is doing a string
Mm.
concatenation of s1 and s2, correct?
Correct. Mm. Okay. Mm.
That's fine, right? Now, if you go down, so it's printing over here. What is the output we have in str, correct? Now, if you go down, what it's trying to do,
Mm.
again, it's calling the same function std but with different parameters, str and 100. So first one is character star and second one is integer,
Integer. Mm.
correct? So now what it will do, it will
Mm.
call this one,
Okay.
correct? So based on parameter
Mm.
type, it will call the second one, correct? So if you go down,
Mm.
this
Mm.
one is implementation for both are characters. Now this is implementation when one is character star and another one is integer I, right?
Integer.
Yeah. So here I'm passing
Mm.
str from here and 100 I'm passing in this integer I. So what it will do, what we're trying to do is we are creating one temporary array, right? And what we are trying to do is we
Okay.
are just, this is the function sprintf. Sprintf means normal printf, what it will do, it will print whatever output we have on console screen, correct? Console output screen,
Mm.
right?
Okay.
If I'm saying normal
Mm.
printf, so what it will do, whatever contents we have, it will print on output screen, correct?
It will
So
print
when
the.
I'm saying
Correct.
sprintf means whatever contents we have, instead of writing on console output, it will write in string. So what is string? This is nothing but a temp string it will write.
Okay.
So that we call
Tempest.
as sprintf.
Okay.
Sprintf, sprintf
Okay.
will print in string parameter that we passed. instead of console. Correct. So what it will do, it will write this value. This is our string, right? Temp that we define. So what it will do, it will
Okay.
write this value percentage d comma I. So percentage d means
Okay.
integer value we are printing. There is something 100 we are printing inside this temp.
Okay.
You got my point?
Got it.
Right. So 100 value it will print inside this one. Then finally what we are doing, we are string concatenation s1 and temp. S1
And
what we have passed,
mm,
str, then temp. So the string will be like this,
mm,
100, then there or something, whatever word we have. So this is our output. Got it?
mm,
Any
got it.
confusion you have, you can ask me. You are clear about sprintf, right? How the sprintf will behave and printf will behave. So normally when we are saying printf,
Yeah.
so it will directly go to console output screen to print our output. But when we are saying sprintf,
Oh,
s means string printf. So instead of going to console, it will
okay.
go to string and it will print whatever data you have in string. So here I'm printing 100. So it will
Okay.
directly go to temp directory and directly assign 100 as a string to this particular temp. So the syntax will be like
Okay.
this. Temp is equals to
Okay.
100. Got it?
Got it.
Right, then finally what we are trying to do is we are screen concatenating whatever S1 contents we have sent to temp. So it will be 100 there. Let's say 100. Then there is a string we printed, right? So it will be 100 there.
Mm,
Understood the point? How we are doing sprintf and everything? So sprintf is also an example, right? A function overloading you can say. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yeah. No. No, it's audible.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So you understood the concept?
Understood.
Any confusion you have, you can ask.
Okay. Here, no confusion.
Sure?
No. Yeah. Sure.
Okay, fine. So this is actually function overloading examples I have given you, right? So how it will impact and how
Mm,
we can behave with strings as well as this integer and double values, correct? These two examples are
okay.
important. Now when we are saying
Okay.
operator overloading, so operator overloading is also another concept, right?
Okay.
So it is another concept of polymorphism. Or we can say another way of polymorphism,
Okay.
right? So this is a very easy concept, right? So we will go in depth later. So I will just explain you the concept. What is the exact concept behind operator overloading, right? So
Okay.
normally when we are saying operators, right? The first thing that come to
Mm.
mind is plus, minus,
Plus one.
multiply, division, right? Then
Mm.
this operator modulus and etc. There are many others, right? Logical
Okay.
operators and many other operators are there, right? We can say logical
Okay.
operators are there, and then right,
Yeah.
we have comma
Or,
operator. This is also we call it comma operator. Comma
oh,
operator.
which is also the common.
Yeah, comma operator is also there. So I will like explain you.
Okay.
Let's say we have value integer
Okay.
y, one variable.
Mm.
Now I have integer x is equals to 7, 10, 70 and integer z which is equals to 45, right? So what I will do is now I will say y is equals to x comma y.
Mm.
So
Oh,
what it will
okay.
do, it will return the last value. Sorry, y is equals to x comma z. So it will return the last value. Last value is nothing but z. Y is equals to here.
Jet. Oh,
That means y is
okay.
equals to
45.
70. Sorry, 45. Yeah, correct. It will
Mm.
return the last value. Correct. So
Last
this is we
value.
call as comma operator.
Mm.
So if you want to get the last value of all the parameters, you will simply write y is equals to x is equal to that something. So it will get the last parameter value. Right. So rarely we will
Oh,
use, but sometimes if the situation demands, then we will go ahead. Correct.
okay.
So
Okay.
as you see, when we are saying plus, minus, into, multiply operators, so simply when we are defining integer variables, so I can simply write y is equals to x into that also, right? So it will work. So what it will do, it will multiply 17 into
Multiple.
17
45.
into 45, correct? So that is very clear when we are defining predefined data types, correct? But let's say I'm defining one
Okay.
class struct, right? This is our class. Not say struct, you will get confused. So I will just say class CL1. Okay.
Okay.
So when you are defining class
Mm.
CL1, now I'm saying integer A, integer B. These are the two
Okay.
values we have. Now what I will do is I will just create two objects. I will say CL1. I will say obj1,
Okay.
comma
Mm.
obj2. Now when I am saying obj1 plus obj2, right? And I'm assigning it to third variable
Okay.
obj3, comma obj3,
Okay.
right? So here I'm going and I'm saying obj3 is equals to obj1 plus obj2. So how it will behave?
Obligatory.
Will it sum all the values of obj1 plus obj2 and assign to obj3? I can write anything, right? Instead
Mm-hmm.
integer A, integer B, I can write this one also,
Mm-hmm.
character star str.
Mm.
Now what will happen? Will compiler
Mm.
identify how to add these values? Because this data type we have
No,
created by
no, it
our
will
own,
give
right?
a.
So data type is not predefined in C++
Mm.
library, right? This data type we have
Yeah.
defined our own. So this is a customized data type that we have
Yeah.
defined. So will
Okay.
compiler will
Mm.
identify how this type will behave, how we have to do.
No, no, it will give a.
It will give error, right? So this is the concept of function overloading. When we are saying operator overloading,
Mm. Okay.
right?
Mm.
Overloading. So what we will do is we will just create one function in predefined template format.
Okay.
So I think there's the operator plus
Okay.
operator plus then something is there, right? So this is where we go inside this one. So let's say integer operator plus then we are doing some addition over here. So what we will do, we will simply write the code. Let's say temp obj3,
Okay. Okay.
right? And here we will say obj3 dot a is equals to obj1
Mm.
dot
Which
a
one dot?
plus obj1 dot a,
Two dot.
sorry, obj2 dot a.
Okay.
Similarly, obj3 dot b is equals to obj1 dot b plus obj2 dot b. Correct? So this
Okay.
is the way we define,
Mm.
and we will return simply instead of
Okay.
integer, what we will say, return with data type CL1 data type. Correct? So after adding all the
Okay.
things, then we will simply write return obj3.
Okay.
Now will it work?
Mm. It will work.
It will work, right? So actually when we are saying
Mm.
operator plus something, right? So I'm returning data type, then I'm just saying operator plus. So this is actually function, function names are predefined in C++ library. So we need to use the same thing, just like operator plus, operator minus, operator plus. The
Okay.
function names are predefined by which they will recognize, right? And parameters also
Mm-hmm.
we should define in the same way. So here I can write obj1, comma, obj2,
Okay.
correct? So this functional template format is predefined. We need to just copy paste and whatever processing we want, we can do inside the function.
Okay.
This we call as operator overloading. This is also a
Okay.
form of
Understood.
polymorphism. This is a very important concept, right? But normally when we are going to do
Mm.
this thing, so that is very important.
Okay.
You understood the concept?
Mm. Yeah. Understood.
Yeah. Right. So we'll go in depth later, right? So I'm just give you overview how we are
Mm.
going to do these things, right? So you will understand I mean, we are going inside this topic, right, in depth. Then before that, you have understanding how we are going to do, right? So similarly,
Okay.
we have other operators equal to operator plus, minus, divide, comma, right? So there are many operators we will try to overload because all the operators are
Okay.
predefined on basic data type, but it's not predefined on customer data types. So for
Okay.
custom data type, we need to tell compiler what we are trying to do and how it will behave,
Oh, okay.
right? So this is a customized way where we need to that we need to follow. Fine. So
Okay.
next is
Mm.
okay. I've explained this thing now. Okay. Now the next thing is in C++ inheritance support by allowing one declaration. Okay. So this is an example of inheritance. Right? Just follow this thing.
Mm.
So what I'm trying to do is I'm just
Okay.
creating one class of building. Right. So this is actually our super class. So when we are saying
Okay.
super class, I will just give you one example, right? So similarly, just now last time I give you example, your grandfather, then your father and you. Right. So your grandfather
Mm.
is the first approach we can say super class. So all the characteristics from your grandfather and your father, correct? By DNA or whatever
Okay.
means in time of birth.
Mm.
Now,
Okay.
okay, the same thing, your father characteristics are transferred to you. correct? There's a chain actually from your grandfather to father and father to you, correct? So we can consider any
Okay.
level of time. It can be super level or it can be multi-level also, right? So when we are saying this thing, so it's a
Okay.
multi-level inheritance because your father is getting the inheritance from your grandfather and you are getting inheritance from your father. So there's a
Okay.
multiple level inheritance, right?
Oh.
Multiple things are involved,
Mm-hmm.
right? But when we are saying
Okay.
single inheritance, right? Single inheritance means directly you are getting all the things from your father. So only you are considering up to your father level. Only one inheritance level is there,
Mm-hmm.
correct? So here I'm
Okay.
giving you a single inheritance example, right? So what I'm trying to do is,
Okay.
actually this is the example when we are saying, so this is actually a building, right? So building.
Okay.
Now I can say
Mm.
school. Another one is house.
Okay.
So house is also a building,
Okay.
correct?
Mm-hmm.
And school is
Yeah.
also a building,
So, okay.
right? So building characteristics can be in house, building characteristics can be in school, correct? So when
Mm.
we are saying rooms, floors, and areas, it can be in school. When we are saying room, floors, and areas, it can be in house also, correct?
Okay. Mm. Correct.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to do is I'm just creating one class building which have rooms, floors, and areas. So by all these things are pri- private,
Okay.
correct? These are actually information
Mm.
whatever we have is private by default. Now publicly what I'm
Okay.
trying to do is I'm just defining some functions, right? So here you can say
Okay.
set rooms, set floors, set area and get area. So this is actually a basic or can say functions we have defined. Correct? So whenever we are
Okay.
defining any functions for counting and getting the numbers, right? So we are just using this format, set underscore rooms, get underscore rooms, or set underscore floors, get underscore floors, or set area and get area.
Oh,
So by this
okay.
function you will set the area, by this function you will get the area.
Okay.
Right. So whenever we are giving any input, we may ask in future, or we can say in further processing, we may ask for getting the input also. Correct. Just for getting the input also, we are defining this function.
Okay.
Very easy example, I will tell you, right? So this is actually a basic structure of building.
Mm.
Correct. Now when we are
Okay.
saying house, right? So when we are saying house, class house, and public building, so it's inheriting all the things as public. What does it mean
Mm.
by inheriting all the things as public, right? So when we are saying all the things are inheriting as public, so all the public functions will become public to this class.
Mm. Okay.
Right? And all the private functions of this class will become private function of this class.
Just right. Okay.
Got the concept?
Mm.
So when
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
are saying
Got it.
public, so it will copy as it is. All the public will become public, all the private will become private. And if there are
Okay.
protected member also, it will become protected. So when we are saying public, it will copy as it is.
Mm. Okay.
Right? So when I'm saying class house, then I'm inheriting this building class as public. Then all the things will get copied. Right? Then additional parameters,
Okay.
what we defined is bedrooms and baths. So all these things are copied as just like a DNA from your grandfather to father. Correct. So similarly, we have
Okay.
copied this thing, but some additional features are there. Right? These are nothing but bedrooms and baths in your
Mm.
father. Correct. And when we are saying
Okay.
public section, it will contain the new things, set bedrooms, get baths, as well as all these functions as well.
Mm.
Correct.
Okay.
This is the concept.
Mm.
Now, again, I'm defining the whole program
Okay.
here. Right. So I'm just saying this thing. So this is nothing but building in which we have rooms, floors, and areas.
Mm.
Same as we defined above. In public section, by
Okay.
default, these are private. Then public session, I'm setting these functions to set the rooms and get the room
Okay.
numbers, set the floor numbers and get the floor
Okay.
numbers, set the area and get the area. Correct.
Okay.
Now I'm going to house and
Mm.
I'm inheriting the building as public. So all the public will become public, all the private will become private, all the protected will become protected. Correct. And some
Okay.
additional features and yeah, some additional features they have. That's bedrooms and number of baths.
Mm.
So again, I'm using the same thing.
Okay.
Correct. So these have all the public function as well as the inheriting class functions. Correct.
Okay.
So similarly,
Mm.
this is class derived. So this we call as derived class, and building we call as
Okay.
base class. Correct. So whatever class we are inheriting,
Mm.
this is nothing but a base class, and whatever class we are getting all the functions and the variables we call as derived class.
Dear plus. Mm. Okay.
So this is the first derived class
Mm.
of house. Correct. And when we're going down, this is the
Mm.
second class we are defining of school. So school is also a building.
School. Mm.
So again,
Mm.
we are inheriting all the things as public. So all the public will become public, private will become private, and protected will become protected. correct?
Okay.
And some additional features, classroom and offices. Then again, I'm setting the classroom numbers and getting the classroom numbers, setting the office numbers and getting the office numbers, right? So this is the
Okay.
basic instruction prototyping we have for all the three classes. Now I'm defining
Okay.
all the functions outside, right? And I'm setting the numbers and everything,
Mm.
right? So when we're saying set room belongs to building class, correct?
Okay. Mm.
Scope resolution of
Mm.
then building class name, sorry, right?
Okay.
So again, I'm passing
Mm.
integer num here. I'm just assigning room is equals to number, whatever I'm
Number.
assigning
Okay.
into it, right? So similarly, set floors, again the same thing. So everything will be same,
Mm.
set area, set floors, right? Then get rooms, get floors, get
Mm.
area, then set bedrooms. Bedroom is for house, correct? So it will belong to
House.
house class.
Mm. Correct.
So when we are saying set bus, it will just assign the bathroom numbers to bus, correct?
Mm.
When we are saying bedroom,
Mm.
now this is up to what we are setting: number of bathrooms, number of
Mm.
bedrooms, number of area, number of floors, right? Now I'm retrieving the
Okay.
information. For retrieving also I'm defining one function. So get bedrooms, it will belong to
Okay.
house
Get
class,
it.
and I'm
Okay.
returning integer value. So it will return the bedroom number.
Okay.
Similarly, it will return the bathroom numbers. It will return the classrooms, correct? So one is for setting, another is
Okay.
for getting
Mm.
it. Right, so similarly, you will set all these
Okay.
things, right? So when I'm coming down now, here I'm saying void main, correct? So
Okay.
I'm creating two objects. One is for house and one is for school. So building we are
Okay.
inheriting, right, already in this house and school. So
Mm.
there is no need to define a
Cool.
building class,
Okay.
right? Because all the
Okay.
features are there in house as well as school,
Mm.
correct?
Okay.
Yeah. And all the things
Mm.
are accessible. Public means publicly accessible, and private means privately accessible, correct?
Okay.
So here what I'm trying to do is I'm just calling this function set rooms for house, correct? And this we have
Okay.
derived from building, if you remember, rooms, areas, and floor, correct?
Mm.
In
Yeah.
house.
Correct.
And
Mm.
setting it at 12, 3, and 4500, then bedroom and baths, whatever we have, I'm printing all the values,
Mm.
correct?
Okay.
Similarly, I'm setting the rooms,
Mm.
class, and office and area for school, and I'm just printing the values,
Mm. Okay.
right? So you understood?
Mm. Yeah. Understood.
So this is a very simple example we have. I will send you this sheet so you can practice it out, right?
Mm. Okay.
It's a
Okay.
very
Mm.
basic example I'm giving you, right? So you'll understand before we
Ah.
proceed further in depth,
Okay.
right? Now, when we are
Mm.
saying this thing, now we have a concept, constructor and destructor in classes. So any idea about constructor and destructor you have?
Yeah. Yeah. Constructor means it will get the copy of the class.
No.
Whenever we create the object. Mm.
Object we are simply creating by declaring of that class name
And
and then
replace. Ah.
object name, right? So this is not related with classes or something you are saying. This is related with classes only. It's actually a method,
Mm.
constructor and destructor. So when we are
Mm.
saying constructor, right? So it will initialize all the variables inside it.
Okay.
And when we are saying
Okay.
destructor, right? So once the class, I mean,
Mm.
when we create any object, when we complete the processing with the object, then it will call the
Mm.
destructor to destroy the objects we have created and free the
Okay.
memory.
Okay. Okay.
Correct. So this is the
Mm.
syntax of constructor. Simply we are defining one class stack in which we are defining the stack one,
Okay.
right? Or you can say
Mm.
instead of size, you can say 10. Correct. Here integer two. So by default, both these
Mm.
are private. Correct.
Okay.
Right. So
Mm.
what we are trying to do is in public section. So constructor will always be public. Just remember this thing,
Mm. Okay.
right? So once
Okay.
we create any object, right? So first what it will do, it will first call the constructor,
Okay.
right? So constructor has the same name as of class. This is the first
Class.
property,
Mm.
right? So class
Okay.
name and constructor name should be same,
Same. Mm.
right? So constructor can be an empty parameters also. Constructor can have empty parameters, so it can have some parameters also. It can be parameterized or it can be non-parameterized. So currently I'm using
Okay.
non-parameterized. That means I'm not passing anything,
Mm.
right? So by
Okay.
default, okay, I will explain you, right? So this is our class, right? We're defining in this public section, we're defining one constructor with empty brackets,
Okay.
correct?
Okay.
And the property should be, I mean, the main objective should be the name of the constructor should be same as the name of class. And
Name of
similarly,
the
the name
class.
of
Mm.
destructor should be same as name of class, but we should use this symbol for destructor,
Symbol. Mm. Mm.
correct? Right? So the
Mm.
constructor or destructor, both are called only once in a lifetime of an object.
Okay.
I will just write it down.
Mm.
Constructor and destructor will be called only once in lifetime of an object, right? So in that case, when we are saying constructor will be called only when we create object, only once
Okay.
when we
Okay.
create object, right? And destructor
Mm.
will be called only once when we destroy or completely processed object, right? Or we can say just before
Okay.
end of object,
Okay.
right? So this is actually rule, right?
Mm.
So here, if you see, I have defined the function stack is stack. So constructor will not return anything. This should be also a property.
Okay.
Constructor or
Okay.
destructor should not return anything, not even void.
Okay.
Constructor
Mm.
and destructor will not return anything. So no
Okay.
returning type we have. So no returning type we have for both. So because we are not returning anything, so we don't need to define any returning parameter, returning type. Correct. So simply how it will call, if you call the function name, then it will just check which class it belongs, right? So if this is a stack function, this is nothing but constructor, it belongs to stack class.
Okay.
Correct. Similarly, this is the function, this
Mm.
belongs to stack class. So what we are trying to do is we are just
Okay.
initializing it here. Whatever one we can do, we will write over here. Generally, constructor, what we are trying to do is we just initialize the value. So this code we need to write it manually, whatever
Mm.
we want. So I'm just initializing value, I'm printing stack initialized.
Okay.
The last I'm saying stack destroy it.
Okay.
Right? So just create this
Okay.
test program and test how it will behave. Just create this only. Yeah.
Mm.
Just
Okay.
remove this void push and pop.
Mm.
Just use this thing only.
Mm.
Right?
Okay.
And see
Okay.
how it will behave.
Mm.
Correct. So these are the properties of constructor and destructor. And this is very important for interview questions. They will ask you these properties for sure.
Okay.
Right. So constructor can be parameterized or it can be empty. Right. So
Okay.
constructor can be parameterized or non-parameterized. Right. Currently I'm using a empty
Mm.
bracket one, so it's non-parameterized. Right.
Okay.
So are you able to understand the concept? Any
Yeah.
confusion
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have here?
Understood.
Any confusion you can ask. And just look it out once and
Mm.
check if you have any confusion.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
Any confusion, any question you have here, or any topic you didn't understand, how it will behave, what is the naming convention, or why we
Mm.
are passing empty constructor, why we don't have any return parameter. Any question you are free to ask. So when we are saying constructor and destructor, right?
Okay.
So these are actually basically class functions only, but we have a specific property that they have class name only. Correct. So when we're saying class stack,
Mm.
the function
Mm.
name should
Correct.
be stack, and when we're saying destructor, it should be same name, but we have this tilt mark, right, in starting.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
And the second thing should be constructor can never be private.
Okay.
Any idea when we are saying why it's not private? Think about it. So constructor will be called when we define
Okay.
any object, right?
Mm.
So when I'm saying here Let's say I'm writing stack. I am saying obj1, correct? Immediately when I execute the program,
Then
once it
constructed.
encounter this particular statement, when it's creating any object, for individual object it will call. When I'm saying object 1, comma object
Okay.
2, right? So it will call individually for object 1 and it will call individually for object 2, correct? So for one object, it will call only once in a lifetime, both constructor and destructor. For obj1, it will call
Destructive.
once, and for obj2 also, it will call once. So both are different
Means,
objects, correct?
yeah.
So when we are saying stack
Correct.
obj1, so immediately what it will do, it will just directly, okay, internally what it will do,
Go to construct.
obj1,
If you call constructor.
correct? So it will say new,
Mm.
or I can say some memory it will allocate, right? So what it will do, it
Okay.
will just allocate some memory by new function.
Okay.
Giving one example, so it will allocate memory, and it will, yeah, and will call this constructor immediately. Call constructor immediately. So when I'm saying it will call constructor immediately, then it should be public.
Okay.
Otherwise, it will give error.
Mm.
Correct? So if you are creating any object, right, then constructor should be public. If it's private, it will not able to access it directly, and you will get the compiler error at the
Okay.
same time. Got the point?
Okay.
So if I move
Got it.
from public section to private instead of saying private, right? So at the compile time only you will get the error because it will not get the access directly, right? So
Okay.
constructor should always be public, constructor and destructor both, right? Because once you
Okay.
declare this object, so immediately it will call this particular function, and it should be public. If you
Okay.
define as private, so it will give a compiler error,
Okay.
right? So this is the first thing we have. Now instead of this thing, when I'm saying stack integer I, right? So this is actually a parameterized constructor now. Parameterized constructor, correct? So this is a
Correct.
parameterized constructor which we are passing integer I, correct?
Correct.
Right. Now the first thing I forgot to tell you is if we comment this section, right, if we don't have any constructor, because till now we have seen classes without constructor, correct? In the first class and second class, whatever objects we have done in the building block also, right? Here we are not defining anything. Have you seen any constructor over here? No, right?
No.
Right. So constructors, I mean, non-parameterized constructor are given by compiler directly. Correct.
Correct.
So these are actually by default constructor we have by compiler. Got the concept? So whatever it's
Yeah, yeah,
initializing
good.
value, yeah, by default what a compiler will do, it will contain the default this function, but it will initialize the value to garbage value.
Okay.
So when we are overloading this function, here what we are trying to do is here we are overloading this function integer I,
Okay.
correct? Or we can say just remove this one. What we are trying to do is we are just overloading the stack function and we are defining it our own range. So now we are defining
Okay.
that toss is equals to 0 and CR is equals to stack initialize. So what it will do, it will just override this function. It will not call the compiler by default function given, right? So because
Okay.
this definition we have defined, correct? Now if we comment this section, if we go up, sorry, if we go up and comment this section, right? So it will call by default constructor. It will not call our implementation. So if we uncomment this section, then it will override the other one and
It
will
will
call
come.
this thing.
Okay.
This is the function. So by default, it will call the non-parameterized constructor whenever we are creating any
Okay.
object. Correct?
Okay.
But let's say instead of non-parameterized constructor, I created parameterized. I'm just passing integer I, right?
Okay.
And here also I'm just defining integer I, and here instead of saying toss is equals to 0, I'm assigning value toss is equals to I. Now what compiler will do?
Okay.
So when we're declaring any object, stack obj1 or stack obj2, right? This is the one format,
Immediately
right?
can
So
come.
it will not create directly, right? So what it will do, what we can do is stack obj1, then I can pass here value 1. Now it will work,
Okay. Okay.
right? Because now we are creating
Understood.
object with 1 as value. So constructor will be called as parameterized constructor with value 1.
Okay.
Correct, you got it?
Yeah, got it.
Right, so this is the thing, right? And when we are calling this one, right, so what it will do, stack obj1 is equals to new obj1, and then we'll call the value 1. Correct, so it will assign a new object with pass the value 1 and it will assign to stack obj1. But when you see this
Okay.
thing internally, it means this thing, right? So it will call this new object with parameters value 1 and it will create the object and assign the value
Okay.
to this one. Correct?
Okay.
But if you see, we are defining a stack obj1 is equals to this thing, right? Internally it means like this.
Okay.
Correct? So when we are saying this thing, so this is similar to this one internally. That means it will call the
Okay.
non-parameterized constructor also along with this parameterized constructor.
Okay.
You're getting my point? When we are
Yeah.
defining like this, so internally it means like this. Internally it means that means we are creating a new object and assigning it to this one. So by default, when we are
This one.
write this
Okay.
thing, so it will call non-parameterized constructor, right? As well as it will call this parameterized constructor, right? So here we don't have any
Okay.
non-parameterized constructor because we have defined parameterized constructor. So once we define any constructor, it can be non-parameterized or parameterized, right? So compiler will not give default constructor after that.
Okay. Okay.
So in that case, what you need to do is you need to again define stack, then empty.
That's
This
it.
is non-parameterized constructor. Now it will work properly. It will not give any compiler error because when we are giving the syntax, right? So by default, it will look for empty constructor, then it will go for parameterized constructor. So once we define either
Okay.
parameterized constructor, non-parameterized constructor, then compiler will not give you default constructor. So in that case, we need to provide it
Okay.
manually or externally.
Mm.
Otherwise, it will give the
Okay.
compiler error because internally when we calling this syntax, right? So what it will do, it will call like this. So it will declare object one variable, then it will allocate the memory and will assign to this one. But when we define this thing, it will call internally non-parameterized constructor.
Okay.
What the concept? So in that case, we need to provide externally default constructors.
Okay.
So once we define any parameters constructor or non-parameters constructor, in both cases, compiler will not help for default constructor, right? So in that case, we
Okay.
need to provide our external reference. Right, so now it will
Okay.
work properly. Otherwise, if we are not defining this one, it should give compiler error. You can check it out in test
Okay.
program. Yeah.
Mm.
Any confusion you have till now?
No confusion. Once
Sure.
if I do, yeah, sure.
I'm
If I do this
expecting
program,
something. Yeah.
you know me, right? I'll always.
Yeah. Okay. I was expecting something. Okay, it's okay. So what you can do is just read all these test programs so you will understand, right? We will go in depth one by one. I'm just giving you overview how it will behave and what interview
Oh,
questions they will ask, what you are going to read,
okay.
right? So these are actually
Oh,
important concept of polymorphism. Then further, if you
okay.
go, it will give copy constructor default arguments also, right? So that is very easy actually. Once you understand the concept, basic concept, then that will be very easy,
Okay.
right? The stack program, you should just check it out, right? So now this
Okay.
program is over. Now simple one thing, formatting type, I just want to understand you, right? So here, when we are saying printf right justified and left justified. So you understand what do you mean by right justified and left justified?
Okay. I think right justified means it will leave the space or.
Correct. So let's say I want to print 100. So when I'm saying percentage
Okay.
80, so you remember I told you it's a width actually, right?
Ah,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
okay.
8. So when I'm saying
Okay.
right justified, so it will just give this output. When I'm saying left justified, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So what it will do, it will give the output this.
Okay.
What the value?
So it will print zeros also, or it will just leave
No,
the
I think
space
it
there.
will space. It will leave the space, but the width actually 100. That means if you print any other character, right after this, let's say I'm just
Okay. It will start. Okay. Then. Okay.
percentage d,
Understood.
then it will start from there. So it will leave the 8 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now it will print from here.
Okay, okay, understood.
right? So similarly, if
Like
you
tab.
print anything,
Okay.
yeah, so 100 it will do like this. Sorry,
Mhm.
100, then it will print some other value from there.
Okay.
You understood the concept, right?
Yeah, understood. Okay.
Yeah. So this is the left justified and right justified. How are you going to adjust it?
Okay.
Oh, I think I may just oppose it. It should contain more space, right? It's right justified and it's left justified.
Yes. Okay.
Fine?
Fine.
Yeah. So as I told you, we have three access specifiers: public, private, and protected. Correct? I
Protected.
told you the limitations, whatever we have. So this is another simple example. We have employee, right? So see how they are defining. So they are defining by default is private. Correct. Now they are saying public, then they are using
Mm.
two functions.
Mm.
But when we encounter the next access specifier, it will change the next values to private. This will
Okay.
become private. Again, I'm going to think public. So
Okay.
next values will be public, whatever we have declared. Right. So whatever we have discussed on last
Okay.
class, right? Similarly, with their thing
Mm.
put name, then get name, right? And return the wages. So similarly, they are getting
Mm.
all those things and they are printing it out. Just try this example. It's a very simple example
Okay.
I've given you, right?
Okay. Okay.
Similarly, here
Understood.
I've explained.
Mm.
So here I'm defining my class, correct? So in this I have three variables I,
Okay.
j, k, right? So when I am
AJK.
defining these
Mm.
two objects, correct? So both objects have different memory,
Mm.
correct? Object A and object B.
Okay.
So this is just differentiating
Mm.
the memory when I'm assigning j and k
Okay.
values. So this is stored in a different memory, but when I'm saying b dot k is equals to 12, so that is a different memory. Remember a dot k and b dot k are
Oh.
different. So whenever we are printing
Okay.
different value, so it will print values differently. It will be 12, but when we are saying ak is equal to ai dot aj, so it
Okay.
will be 400, 400. 100 into 4 equals to 400.
Oh. Oh. Okay.
You got the concept?
Yeah. Yeah. Got it.
Any confusion?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Confusion.
Okay, so today I'm giving one
You can see
assignment.
all the confusion after.
Yeah, that is okay. You can drop me mail, right? But whenever you're facing
Yeah.
any issue, you can just drop a mail. I'll reply to your mail.
Uh,
Fine. So today I'm just giving you an assignment. So this is a little bit C and C++, right?
okay.
Both. So what you can do is you just need to find
Okay.
out what are anonymous unions and just create one simple example. These are very easy unions, I'm telling you. So when we are saying
Okay.
anonymous unions, right? So the union doesn't contain any name and this is defined within class or within main function. So it will just like use the parameter
Okay.
only. Yeah, it will just like structure only we are
Okay.
using. But union, you know, right? It will take the highest memory.
Mm. Highest one.
Correct?
Okay.
Yeah. So take one example from Google and just check it out if you are able to understand it or not, right? And play with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
And the second one is
Okay.
what is a malloc and calloc. So I will explain you. I've just give you a brief what
Mm.
basically mean by malloc and calloc. Right. So malloc and calloc we're
Okay.
getting the dynamic memory allocation. When
Primary
we think
education.
that, yeah. So when we let's say I have one RAM, right? So in this RAM, I just want to get some
Mm.
dynamic memory allocation. So let's say I want to get 100
Okay.
bytes, right? So what I will do is
Mm.
I will just create one pointer and I will use this malloc function to get the whole bunch of memory collectively. Right? So when we're saying
Okay.
arrays, right? So arrays also do the same thing just
Mm.
like pointers. So array we have defined around 18 elements of
Mm.
integer. So it will do 18 into
Yeah.
2 is equals to
Correct.
36. 36 byte of memory it will
Mm.
take. But let's say I just want to get 100 bytes of memory and I can store any data type in that. So it's not limited just like
Okay.
arrays we can so because arrays when we are defining, right? So it can be integer, it can be character.
Mm.
Only one data type it
Can
can
be
store.
connected.
So
Only one.
by
Mm.
this, just because of this limitation, we move to structures, right? Structures and
Mm.
classes which
Mm.
store different types of data types, correct? So similarly, when we
Okay.
are using malloc and calloc, right? So it will take chunk of memory
Mm.
from RAM. Let's say malloc, I'm writing malloc
Okay.
1000. So it will take 1000 of
Oh,
memory.
okay.
Malloc
Oh,
1000,
okay.
right? In brackets. So what it will do, it will take thousands of memory and it will assign this reference to a pointer, right? So integer star p
Okay.
or whatever we have, we will assign this to this one. Correct. So just take one
Mm-hmm.
example and see how malloc will behave, how you can use it. So you can Google, you will find many examples easily. Just take one or two
Okay.
examples and see how it will behave, how it will get the memory.
Okay.
If you are able to retrieve the
Okay.
memory address location or not with the help of size of orbiter, you can check how many size we have. With the
Okay.
point, when we are,
Okay.
you can just print pointer address, right? By using p, right?
Mm.
Percentage p dot
Okay.
p, comma p.
Mm.
Right? So just print
Mm.
out what is the address it's allocating, right? So similarly, just like malloc,
Mm.
we have calloc, right? So calloc will be just like
Mm.
behaving like this. So integer star p and it will assign new, then some memory location 10, right? whatever we say, the new integer 10. So some syntax is
Okay.
there, you need to check out. So what calloc will do, it will take the memory in chunks, in just like array format,
Okay.
correct? And it will assign by
Mhm.
default all the values to 0. It will contain garbage value, but it will assign all the values to 0. Right? So what you can do is
Oh,
just Google out
okay.
what is malloc and calloc, what is the difference, and how we can utilize it. Because that's a very important question they may
Okay.
ask in interview. What is malloc? What is calloc?
Okay.
Right? So new calloc or something is there,
Mm.
right? Just check it out. This is an text for C++ actually. What I'm trying to do with it. This C++
Okay.
get memory, get dynamic memory. So similarly, we have syntax for calloc also. Calloc, some function is there. Just check it out how it will behave.
Okay.
Right? So this is actually interview question. You should know it, right? So just take one example from Google and just try it out how exactly it's working or why it's not working. See how the values are assigned. It's a garbage
Okay.
value or it's a zero value assigned.
Oh, okay.
Right? Once you are done with this, we will discuss this in tomorrow's class. Because this is a very important question
Okay.
for interview. They will ask you 100% about this.
Mm. Okay.
Just go through it, just get the concept. What are the values we are assigning? It can be garbage or it can be this. What are the pointers we have? How many memory it will allocate? Right? What is the difference between both of
Okay.
them? Why we are using calloc instead of malloc or why malloc instead of calloc? Right? And why we are using new integer I. This is the concept of C++ new integer, correct? And calloc has a different function. So just compare all these three things, right? How exactly we are going in C++, how we are going in malloc side, how we are going in calloc side. What is the different? How is
Okay.
initializing the value? What are the value parameters they have? How we can define the
Mm.
address? How we are getting the size of memory location? Right? So
Okay.
these are very important questions you have, right? So once you are done with this, just let me know, right? So tomorrow in class we will discuss all these things, how it will behave and all.
Okay. I'll do that. Okay.
Any other question you
Mm.
have in this? I think we are done with today's session.
Okay.
So any question you have, you can ask me. These are actually very basic concepts and important concepts we have in C++, mainly targeting for interview purpose.
Okay.
So any question you
So
have
no, I
till
don't
now?
have.
So ternary
No, I
operator, you
don't
are
have.
clear, right? How we are behaving a ternary
Mm-hmm.
operator, yeah.
Mm. Mm.
And see, everything is getting repeated, whatever we have done in C, correct?
See, mm, correct.
You're using character star, you're using integer, you're defining structures, you're defining
Mm.
operator overloading, right?
Okay.
You're setting all the functions, how we're getting the reference and everything, correct?
Mm. Okay.
So as I encounter all the interview questions, I will put one by one, right? So that will be have
Mm.
that will help you.
Okay. Okay.
Any
Okay.
question till now?
For now, no doubts.
Okay, so what you can do is I'm just sending you this sheet, right?
Okay.
So these programs actually I've taken from my old programs as well as some references, right? So these are actually simple programs
Okay.
I've taken, right? So that I will just
Okay.
able you to understand what we are going to do in C++. It's actually a starting
Hmm.
point, right? So just basic
Okay.
examples I'm giving you, then we are going in depth one by one from tomorrow, and we are doing
Okay.
hands-on.
Okay. Okay.
Correct. So what you can do is just create all these
Hmm.
programs as test programs and play
Hmm.
whatever. I mean, how whatever you like, you can play it out. Do some R&D.
Okay.
Just check it out how it's
Okay.
working.
Okay. Sure. Okay. Sure.
So whatever questions you have, you can just drop out me mail, right? So I will reply once I get free night.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. I'll do that.
So let's conclude this lesson.
Hmm. Okay.
Fine. Sure.
Hmm.
Thanks, Lakshana.
So, okay. Thank